Hi everyone, it's Johnny O'Donnell here and welcome along to the GrowOnline for Kiwi Business Owners live virtual workshop with myself and Jamie O'Donnell. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. We've had an absolute marathon effort today putting together the finishing touches on this webinar and dealing with some pretty overwhelming technical issues, which has been a good laugh for us to be brought back down to earth about our, about our abilities with technology and realise that none of us are immune, and it's been a pretty long day, but we think we're there now. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we get underway. Jamie and I will both be presenting live on tonight's webinar. So if you are having any issues, a lot of the time if your connection's slow, that'll be a bandwidth issue, particularly if you're on a mobile device. But if you are having any issues with the live broadcast room, all you need to do is flick me an email at Johnny, Johny, at shifton.co. And I can see everyone's starting to stream into the live room. So we've got a number of people with us now. So it's great to have you all joining, and those numbers just continue to go up and up and up. So welcome along to everyone who has just joined us. Just doing a little bit of housekeeping before we get underway. If you are having any issues with the live broadcast room, the best way to contact us is simply via email at Johnny, Johny, at shifton.co. That's shifton.co. And we'll be responding to emails whenever we can. But the reason I asked for that is because Jamie and I will both be presenting live in the workshop. So you're going to get the best of both worlds tonight. The two O'Donnell brothers, both of whom we've both got different backgrounds in the online world. And tonight, for the first time ever, actually, we're bringing together our knowledge to present this 90-minute full live workshop. And I just want to reiterate a few of the points that we started with, which is this is a one-off workshop. If you do miss anything or have any issues with your internet connection, there will be a full replay provided live, but this is a one-off event. We'll only be running this once, and the demand for this has come directly from our fantastic GrowOnline for Kiwi Business Owners community. So I just want to say a big welcome to you all. Thank you to everyone who's been engaging with and participating in the GrowOnline group, and it's fantastic to have so many of you here and others as well. And if you're confused when we refer to the GrowOnline group as we're going through, then that's no problem, because at the end we'll have an invitation for you to all join this free open forum. So great to see more and more people joining as I talk, and I assume that'll be the case as we go throughout. The webinar tonight will last for approximately 90 minutes. And if you do need any support, the place to be is in my inbox, Johnny at shifton.co. Johnny, Johny, at shifton.co. And that'll be the only direct line to us throughout this webinar, as both Jamie and I will be presenting. So without further ado, I'm going to kick into some of the webinar content, because we've got a lot to cover and we want to get through as much of it as possible. And we're hoping to have the webinar closed off within 90 minutes, and no doubt there'll be plenty of questions and further conversations to take place in the Facebook group, but we intend for this one to close off at around 9:30. So I just want to confirm again as we get underway, the support email is Johnny at shifton.co. And if you do have any issues or some speed issues with your provider, then no worries, just hang out and we should have a replay to you within a couple of hours. So we'll get right underway with the presentation now. So thanks everyone for joining us. Okay, so Jamie and I have both been really fascinated during our careers and the businesses we've worked in at the shifts that are occurring in business, and that's really been the catalyst for the new program we're putting together called Shift On. And it's really all centered around the idea that in 2015, business just feels different. Business just feels different to what it used to be. Nothing is really the same, and everything seems to be rapidly changing. and it's creating a problem where people are really struggling to keep up. And every time you feel like you've caught up, the goalpost changes again. And we really understand from working with literally hundreds of business owners between us that how confusing, complicated, time-consuming, and often expensive it can be to try and keep up with this ever-changing world. So tonight's, I'm sure many of you have sat through boring webinars and presentations and seminars on online marketing. I know it's not necessarily the sexiest topic to talk about in your business, and it's not necessarily the thing that you want to give the most attention to, especially if it's out of your comfort zone or not natural to you. But what I want to promise you about tonight's webinar is that it will be neither boring nor unuseful. And our goal is to add as much value to you tonight to help you grow your business through online channels, and at very least walk away with some fresh new knowledge about how to go about that. So we're going to be starting by taking a big picture view at really what's changing and how technology is influencing big shifts in business. And then we'll really break it down and get super practical into what you can do. We're really into the idea of small hinges swinging big doors. So what are the small things you can change in your business that will create the biggest results? And we're going to pack all of that into a 90-minute webinar tonight. So really giving you a big picture overview. Here's the landscape. Here's what's changing. Here's what you need to know to be up with the play. And let's get really practical. Here's what you can do in your business right now to not only stay relevant as a business, but actually grow your business and be a leader in your industry. I don't think anyone would be on the call tonight if they weren't ready for that conversation. So, a huge congratulations to all of you simply just for being on the call tonight, simply just for taking action. Jamie and I had a big discussion in the lead up to this about training and how many people invest time and money into training and development and learning about these things without taking any action. So our emphasis tonight is on giving you as much tools as possible, as many tools as possible to help you move forward and take action in your business. And we kind of likened it to, you wouldn't go to a restaurant and order a meal if you weren't hungry. You wouldn't go to a hotel and get a bed if you weren't going to stay there. And there are all these different things that people, which make sense to people in the real world, but when it comes to training, so often people just don't take action. And so we've really crafted our content with the intention of you being able to walk away and make a big difference to your business from tonight's webinar. One of the quotes that I love to challenge is this old saying, if you keep doing the same thing, you'll keep getting the same results. And I think that while that has traditionally been true, nowadays nothing could be further from the truth. And we know that in today's changing world where the internet has really rewritten economics and starting to hugely shift the business landscape, that if you keep doing the same thing, you will get worse results. Your results will start to decline. And we're seeing that time and time again. And I would love to introduce you to some examples of that and some successes as well as we go throughout the webinar. I'll just take a quick break at this point and just check out and make sure everything's going okay. And also it'd be great to give Jamie a chance to introduce himself. And so, Jamie, if I just bring you in here and you can introduce yourself to the group. If you're interested, by the way, in running webinars, tonight we're using Google Hangouts technology, which today we're going alone without our own marketing software. So it's been a bit of an experiment, but it's been a fun one. So, Jamie, are you with us?
I sure am. Hopefully everyone can hear me now. Can you hear me there, Johnny?
I can hear you, yep.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Johnny said. Thanks so much for giving up your time and coming and investing yourself in your business. And pumped to be here. It's awesome to be on the webinar with Johnny, but I think between us and our experience and our passion for what we're doing, we've just been itching for a chance to get that across and share that with some hungry business owners who are looking to excel in the area of online marketing. So first and foremost, it's fantastic to have this event up and running. And thanks for all the support over at the GrowOnline page, all the fantastic emails we've had over the last couple of days and suggestions. And a lot of you have sent us advice on what you'd like to learn about. So we've tried to incorporate as much of that into tonight as possible. And it will be a pretty jam-packed 90 days. So probably the less talking we do at the start about ourselves and about everything else, and the quicker we get into it, the happier you'll be. So just wanted to say, yeah, thank you very much, and look forward to sharing as much of it with you as you can, and also keeping in touch beyond this webinar to see how we can assist you and utilize the GrowOnline page to really excel your business in the online space. So thanks so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamie. So just a little bit of housekeeping. I've just checked up on the support channels, and there's been a couple of people who are having trouble with the live stream. So I've just checked it and with a third party, and it looks like people with good internet connections are having no trouble at this point. So if you are hearing me, but seeing a static image, i.e. it's still on the first page that we started with, then simply just hit F5 on your computer if you're a Windows user, or hit refresh and just reload the page's feed, and you should get an updated version. This is a live stream. The whole thing's being recorded, so you'll be able to access the recording. You won't miss anything. We can also make the slides available, but if your connection starts to break up, it will often pause on the video. So you just need to refresh it and know that there is a static PowerPoint that we're going through, and so we should be moving through the slides. And if you're missing that, then you need to refresh your page and make sure you can hear us and see the slides to get the best results from the webinar. So moving along now. One of the major factors, I think, of a concept that we'll talk about a lot tonight, which is digital disruption, is really this idea that digital disruption is the idea that traditional business models are being completely thrown off by the internet, by these huge shifts that are occurring in the business landscape, primarily influenced by technology, but also a changing of demographics. So we know that Gen Y and Gen Z are the consumers and the leaders of tomorrow. But what is often failed to be recognized is actually that transition is happening right now. So at this point, about a third of your workforce are probably Gen Y and Gen Z. And actually by Gen Y alone are likely to be, by 2025, about 75% of the global workforce. So we're actually in the crux of that change right now, which is why this is such a crucial time to insulate your business and bring in more innovation and start moving forward. And we hope to really highlight some of those, some of the ways you can do that in tonight's webinar. Last week, I was at a conference in Sydney, and I heard this fantastic quote from a brilliant speaker there who said, in today's day and age of digital disruption, you've got three choices: go big, go boutique, or go bust. And we're going to be focusing on some of those themes tonight as well, all around, particularly focusing on going boutique and going deeper into your niche, because despite the fact that we're in New Zealand and we're relatively isolated geographically, the internet has really connected us to the world. And you're no longer just facing the competitors that are also on the main street. If you're a service provider or you're selling products, then it's more than likely your competitors have just gone from being people in your town or in your city to actually competing with the world over. So when I launched my business, I got to select from service providers for things like accountants, lawyers, graphic designers, web designers, consultants, all those different service providers you need to get a business moving. I could actually access those service providers from all over the world. And for local providers, there really had to be a competitive advantage, or as I say, a boutique offering that would really appeal or attract me enough to work with local providers. So that's just a challenging thought for you to consider tonight. Despite being in relative isolation, you're now competing in a global market for local retail spend. So just bear that in mind as we're going through. I love this quote: go big, go boutique, or go bust. And this is really all about the fact that disruption is upon us. We are living right in the middle of it. This is not a future concept. This is not something that we're predicting. It's not the doomsday, but we're right in the middle of digital disruption. And to make this totally real for you, just think about three big brands for a start: Borders, Blockbuster, and Kodak. Now, these are massive global brands who have seen out many challenges over the years. And yet, with this rise in digital disruption, all three of these brands were completely wiped out from left field. There's a very interesting story behind Borders, of course, which is that actually Amazon originally offered to sell Borders actually created the Amazon technology years ago during the dot-com boom, where they thought that the internet, that they realized the internet was going to be a big deal, and they actually created that piece of software, which they later sold to Amazon because they got impatient for the internet to take off. And now look at who's dominating in the marketplace, Amazon or Borders. And Blockbuster, there's a similar story behind Blockbuster, which is that obviously one of the key influences in taking out Blockbuster or video stores has been Netflix and companies like Netflix. And actually even Netflix went and offered the olive branch, offered to work with Blockbuster together on live streaming TV through the internet, and Blockbuster declined that offer. So you can see some really huge examples of where businesses have basically thought they were already successful or taken their success for granted, and then been taken out completely left field by digital disruptors. And I think the most powerful and compelling story actually from all of that is Encyclopedia Britannica. So most of you will be familiar with encyclopedias, and you may or may not be aware that they've been producing written book form encyclopedias for well over 400 years now. And in late 2012, Encyclopedia Britannica actually ceased printing books. Now you think about that for a minute. A company that has produced books through world wars, through the Great Depression, through all different kinds of changes in the market, nothing has stopped them before. Every single year, year on year, they've printed encyclopedias, yet digital disruption has wiped them from the marketplace. And that was in 2012. Now consider how much has changed with technology between 2012 and 2015. And I think it's a really powerful example of how digital disruption is seriously altering the business landscape. But it's not all bad. Some of you will be familiar with these examples of businesses who have emerged or been created stronger than ever in the face of digital disruption. And I want to use a couple of these examples. Airbnb is really starting to take off in New Zealand, where a lot of private homeowners are starting to turn their spare rooms and sleep outs into cash cows for traveling people. And Airbnb is now, one of the largest accommodation providers in the world, yet they own no real estate. And in reality, when people can rent out, basically circumnavigating any regulation or the constraints of normal accommodation providers, Airbnb are able to have a global reach and actually create incomes for people who most of the time are ordinary people renting out their homes and apartments to travelers. And now they're able to, in a short few years, become one of the largest accommodation providers in the world without purchasing any real estate. Similar to that, though, is Uber. And if you're in the cities, you may already be familiar with Uber in Auckland, where I've just been traveling around Europe for the last couple of months, and then finally to Australia for a conference, where I realized the scale of the impact that Uber is having. And Uber is a taxi app service where you basically tracks you by GPS, and so you just when you log into Uber, it'll find you your nearest Uber driver, which it's also tracking the Uber drivers, so you find drivers that are close to you and they come quickly, unlike a taxi service. And Uber is basically completely turning the taxi industry on its head, and they're now becoming are the largest taxi provider in the world, yet they don't own one car. LinkedIn is also starting to really replace recruitment in terms of talent, and we've seen an even further nod to that recently with LinkedIn's acquisition of lynda.com, which is one of the longest standing online education platforms on the internet. And so LinkedIn is now starting to talk about how they can build and empower the people on LinkedIn to gain new skills to make them more employable, because LinkedIn is fast taking over traditional recruitment. And we have another example of that in New Zealand, of course, of Xero, which has been a huge disruptor to the accounting industry already. Xero basically took away the job of accountants overnight. And we've now seen, thankfully, a really positive response from accountants where they've started to redefine what they do and actually embrace Xero to keep the accounting practices alive and relevant. You may or may not have heard of TaskRabbit and Feastly, which haven't actually hit New Zealand yet, but have been huge overseas. TaskRabbit is basically a job board site for small odd jobs like cleaning your house, cleaning your car, shifting furniture, those small tasks that you don't want to do but don't really want to pay a company to do. And what's really fascinating about TaskRabbit is 70% of the TaskRabbits, or the people who are doing the task for you, where they bid on the task or apply to get the task from you, 70% of those people were previously unemployed. And so what we're seeing is even the idea of a traditional job being flipped on its head, where people are now able to access employment, one-off employment, odd jobs, and become essentially self-employed through a company like Uber, through a company like Airbnb or TaskRabbit. And even more interesting, and one that'll be fascinating to see when it hits the New Zealand shores, is Feastly. And Feastly is starting to really challenge traditional restaurants. So with Feastly, you can actually host your own dinner party or host dinners at your house, and people find you through Feastly, so you can look up dinners happening in your neighborhood that night and what people are cooking and who the people are and what the company will be like. And basically choose a dinner to go to at someone's house, and they get paid to host that dinner, which is, again, starting to take a lot of business and momentum out of the idea of a traditional restaurant. So this is really what a lot of people like to refer to as the sharing economy, the idea that these are generally people who aren't actually in business, and they are starting to really take the storm out of a lot of traditional industries. And if those industries in your business isn't ready to adapt, you'll find that digital disruption may really catch you left field. But one of the major positives, I think, of digital disruption and the way internet has rewritten economics is it's actually completely leveled the playing field between small business and big corporates. You have just as much access to advertising data and platforms like Facebook advertising, Twitter, LinkedIn, as huge companies now. That data has actually been brought right down to small to medium businesses, and most of them aren't utilizing it. But what I'm most excited about is that content marketing, video marketing, Facebook advertising, and social media has really actually empowered small to medium business with the tools to take on the big guys. And at this stage in digital disruption, the potential for small businesses to really take off using these tools have never been greater. And that's what we want to help empower you with tonight during the webinar. But unfortunately, when we get started with talking about the huge changes that are occurring in the marketplace, I know and totally understand that it can become absolutely overwhelming. It can just seem like an insurmountable mountain to climb. The idea of digital disruption, the idea that Airbnb is shaking the accommodation industry, the idea that taxi companies are being completely wiped out by Uber, the idea that people don't need to get a job now, they can work from platforms like TaskRabbit, the idea that soon you won't need to deal with a recruitment company, or perhaps you're already not dealing with a recruitment company because you can just use LinkedIn and other job board sites, and the idea that maybe you don't need an accountant in your business anymore for the reasons you have traditionally because you have Xero. All that can seem, when you're sitting in your business and trying to just get on with making money, making ends meet, and growing your business in the only way that you know possible, all that can seem completely overwhelming. And we're really inundated with change at the moment. But what we know is that change is not slowing down. In fact, we'll see more change in the next 20 years than we have in a lifetime. And, so I can understand that facing that onslaught of digital change and demographics in the marketplace also shifting can feel like completely overwhelming for your small to medium business. So what we want to help achieve with you tonight is not only remind you of the shifts that are occurring in the marketplace and really give you an insight into the business model of the future, but also help break it down, make it practical, and help you achieve what we call overcoming the overwhelm. So at this point, I'm just going to hand back over to Jamie, because that's kind of like the big picture that we wanted to explain. But really, you might be wondering, why are we interested in this? Why are we running this webinar? Why have we set up this Facebook group? And where do we come into all this? What's our job? And really, just how did we come into this line of work? We're both a couple of young entrepreneurs, and we're out on a mission to help as many business owners as possible. So I want to bring in Jamie, if he can hear me at this point, to help introduce and talk a little bit about our story to this point.
Fantastic. Cool. Yeah, I'll just get straight into it. I mean, our story is pretty simple, really. Our story is that we are business owners. We were employees. We've worked at a range of small to medium businesses in our careers, and we've both been in the sales industry. So predominantly our role has always been to bring new business into the businesses that we've been involved in, or when you're a business owner, obviously your core job is to go and find new business. So over the last 5-6 years, there's obviously been a big change in transitioning into digital business and online marketing. And particularly being in the sales field, I think you feel the real brunt of that, because you're expected to be the guy who goes out and brings in the work. But the demographics of that have changed so much in the last sort of decade that it really now heavily relies on your online presence and your marketing to set up a good sales cycle and a sales funnel to enable these salespeople in the businesses to do their job. So my interest personally started in online marketing when I was launching my first business back in 2010. And we actually went across over to Brisbane to a New Rules of Business conference. It was sort of a full 2 days of online marketing, and it really, Johnny was there with us, but it really blew both of us away, because it was really the first time that we'd buried ourselves in it and got exposed to some of the top level advice. And I guess it was just a real shock to see that how some people over in the States and then even in Australia and things were going about generating new business and also delivering seamless experiences for their customers online. Yet we hadn't experienced any of that in any of the businesses that we had been involved in so far as employees, or any of the businesses that we knew of. So it was just like we got an overwhelming amount of fantastic information that we wanted to bring back. And from that point on, I think it made it incredibly hard to sit in a job and go about these traditional methods of marketing. And we really just wanted to get stuck in and start to implement some of the new stuff. So we went out and we went, we're going to start our own business and we're going to give this a crack. Well, we learned a lot through that, and we had to implement. I guess the thing is that we mucked most of it up, just like most people do. We've been in the trenches ourselves. We've tried and tested everything, and we've experienced all the frustrations that small to medium business owners face on a day-to-day basis when dealing with online marketing and bringing in new clients, new leads. So I've personally worked in web development for a web development company. I've been in the social media realm for a year or so there as well as working in consulting around digital marketing. And Johnny, in his background, initially was coming straight out of school and was picked up by the country's largest digital marketing company. And he worked as a consultant there and was exposed to hundreds and hundreds of businesses on a weekly basis, really dealing with the struggle of transitioning their businesses into the digital age. And I guess that gave us both, in terms of sharing our knowledge and our experiences, a really good handle on what the pain points were and what people were suffering with. And, after numerous brainstorming sessions and sort of helping businesses on the side for a year or two, we really just identified that there was a huge gap there for real education around online marketing, not selling the dream of sitting on a beach with your laptop and doing nothing and having all this money pour into your bank account, but simply utilizing online tools and the internet to generate leads into your business so that you can work smarter and not harder and build a leveraged business that you get the lifestyle benefits from. Because I think when you peel it all back, most people who go into business, you go into it to earn more money and to get a better lifestyle. And from my experience dealing with small businesses, unfortunately, sort of 90% of the business owners out there have less time and less money since they've gone into business. And I guess the thing that I come around to now is that there's absolutely no reason for that to be the case. We've got more opportunity than ever before to reach the right people and bring them into our business and just to deliver seamless experiences with new customers. So we could go into a whole bunch of detail around our backstory, but that's not really what tonight's about. It really is about sharing as much of this information as we've learned and as we can in the 90 minutes. And I think we've already taken up about 30 sort of with the high level overview, a little bit about ourselves. And I think it's probably good to just dive into it as quickly as we can and just try and give you the nuts and bolts. I will just allude to the fact that some of the big problems that I've seen when working with small and medium businesses and being involved in running the businesses myself, and also as an employee and in the sales role, is that it's not necessarily a lack of trying from these businesses. There's a lot of business owners out there now who are obviously aware of things like video marketing and Facebook advertising. Everyone's sort of jumping into social media and giving that a crack, but it's more about how you glue all of that together into a system that you can manage yourself and it actually works and is effective to benefit your bottom line, to actually bring in sales. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there at the moment, which is all around, sort of measuring conversions and all the metrics and everything around it. But I think when you boil it all down, all you want to know is how you make more sales. That's essentially what gives you more dollars in your bank account, what grows your business, and essentially what gives you more leverage to employ more staff and set up the structures that you need to get what you want out of your business. So Johnny and I talked about this numerous times during the week as to what we were actually going to be able to deliver in this 90 minutes and what the best way to go about it was, because we could go really deep into Facebook advertising, into video marketing, into social media, but you'd need a few hours on each of them. And it was really, I think at the end of it, it was obvious from all the emails that came in, the Facebook messages that we had, and obviously the people that we've worked with over the last year, coaching and training in this space, that it would just be really good to just give you the formula. Just teach it to you how you attract new leads into your business and how you can convert them into sales utilizing online tools, so that you can have more fun in your business, but hopefully make a bit more money, grow it, reach those goals, and hopefully share the passion for marketing that we do, because it doesn't have to be a sore point in the business. Personally, I think it's absolutely the best skill that you can invest in. And yeah, we're really excited to share some of this with you. So let's just kick straight on into it and get sharing.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jamie. And I just reminded while hearing some of the reflections from our time working with small businesses, both in terms of in online marketing and development agencies and for the large social media companies in the country, and also just like you say, in the trenches in our own businesses and in a failed business, and also in our friends and families' businesses and the people that we've tried to help, and just getting a really good overview of the business landscape in New Zealand, right from the tiny one-man bands, startup businesses, right through to some of the really large companies in New Zealand who are all grappling with this problem right now of how to remain relevant and actually get real results online. And that's what we want to focus our education on, is actually how you can achieve results. How you can see some kickback from your investment in the online channels. And we're not just talking about marketing here. We're actually talking about how your business runs overall, what your systems are like, how you communicate with your team. Are all the positions in your business replaceable? What kind of customer service channels do you have? Can people contact you through social media? Are you nurturing an audience of raving fans in your business? Are you able to be found online? Are you putting out content, growing your brand? This is a huge topic to tackle. And there's no way we can do it justice in 90 minutes, but we absolutely hope that through the Facebook group and more and more the content and value that we're going to add to this group for free, that you'll be able to continue to learn and get your head around this. And it's an ever-evolving process. And I guess someone asked me recently, from all the businesses you've worked with, what would be the one thing you'd tell them about online marketing and growing your business online? And I just said simply that education is cheap. Education is experience. Education is cheap. Experience is expensive. And once I finally got that off the tip of my tongue, but really, it's actually a Robert Kiyosaki quote. But it makes so much sense, because I guess one of the hardest things about one of the jobs I had with a digital marketing agency, which is actually a global firm, was just hearing the stories of business owners who had been caught up in some really shit situations, to be honest, some really tough kind of between a rock and a hard marketplace where they had engaged a poor web developer. They were forking out money for search engine optimization they didn't actually need. They'd been blacklisted by Google and their website couldn't show up, or their Facebook page had been cancelled, or they were paying for social media and invested in big long-term contracts and weren't seeing the results. All these kind of horrible stories that I saw emerging, where I thought, wow, people don't need more service providers. There are plenty of people out there who will help you with your social media, plenty of people out there who will develop a website for you. We actually need more education. We need more practical empowerment of New Zealand business owners to help us kind of to help us really take our businesses forward and grow in this digital era of business. We don't need a more, the service provider space is already crowded enough, but to actually tap into quality information, growing your knowledge, growing your skill set, and really taking back control of your business, I think is what's the most important. It's certainly what's driving our mission to empower and equip and upskill as many Kiwi business owners as possible. And that's evident through the Facebook group and through tonight's workshop and through all the surprises that we have in store, including one at the end of the webinar tonight that will be continue to flow over coming weeks, months, and hopefully years, where we're just really focused on what can we do to help you. And so in that, your feedback is absolutely important to help take us forward. So what we've decided to put together, now that we're in the practical part of the webinar and we're really in action mode, what we've decided to put together is, like Jamie said, we thought, right, of the huge kind of pile of things we could teach tonight, what are we actually going to show them? And what we came up with is just the formula that we've invested tens of thousands of dollars in our own education in this space. I've been all around the world learning about this. We've tapped into some of the world's best experts, and there's one formula that time and time again proves right for us, whether it be for our clients or whether it be for our own business. And we just want to teach it. We want to teach what it's like to build in this formula into your business, and hopefully you can walk away with a good understanding. You've probably heard this term thrown around a lot, and hopefully tonight we want to clear up some of the myths created by that and actually just show you inside out what it's about. So we're going to hold nothing back tonight. This is not a teaser. There's no sales pitch at the end. We don't intend to kind of leave you hanging. We're going to pack as much into this 90 minutes as possible and teach you the formula. And if you've got any questions, write them down, get on the Facebook group, and just let us know, and we'll be happy to answer them. And we've actually added experts to the Facebook group, like search engine optimization experts and web developers and photographers, video producers, everyone we could pull together to help make sure that that group is a resource for you to ask any of your questions to help you move forward. And I want to kind of implement the concept. If it takes you longer than 10 minutes to work out or make a decision on, post it into the group. Post it into the group, because you'll be able to find the answer from another business owner who's been there and done that, or from one of our experts that joined the group. So without further ado, what we have decided to pack in is the formula, plus just cover off what I think is 6 essential rules for effective websites. And then I'm going to get really practical and actually show you inside a couple of strategies for getting traffic through to your website or visitors through to your website. And then we've got a couple of bonuses for you, a bit of an introduction to what's coming next, and then some closing thoughts. And hopefully if we keep cracking through it, we'll be done by 9:30. So the first of the most important rules that we believe for websites is that one page equals one goal. And what we mean by that is when you're writing your content and putting together your website, you need to be absolutely crystal clear about what outcome or result you're looking for people to take. That might not be to make a sale, by the way. That might be to get a like on Facebook, to get a new follower on Twitter, to get a new connection on LinkedIn, to get them to share your video or your blog post. It might be to collect their email address, or it may well be to make a sale. But just make sure that for each page you create, there is an obvious goal or outcome you want from that user, because otherwise you won't be able to measure the effectiveness of your website. So just remember, one page equals one goal. By the way, if you're taking notes, we will be able to provide these slides for you afterwards, and of course there is a replay. The next thing is simplicity sells. Now, when it comes to creating websites, people get very, very carried away in the design of the website, and it's absolutely crucially important. But some of the most effective website in terms of delivering sales that I've seen have actually been the simplest. And certainly we've proved this to be true time and time again. When you get too caught up in design and less caught up in results, you actually leave money on the table. And so what we should be focusing on when you create a website is creating websites that's simple for people to navigate, it's simple for people to understand what you do, and more importantly, it's simple, fast, and seamless for people to buy from you. If it's difficult to buy from you, you're not going to make sales online. So when it comes to creating your website, what you need to have front of mind is that simplicity sells. Next thing is to get social, and I don't mean that in a cliche way, but really it's important that your website is not a standalone feature. The website is kind of the backbone of your online presence, but your social media is hugely important to complement that website. Now, if someone tells you you have to be on Twitter or you have to be on Instagram, they're lying. Everyone has different needs in business in terms of where their target audience is and what social media channels that you would prefer to use. But essentially, the concept overall is that if you're not using social media, you're missing out on getting free exposure to your audience, to your target market, free advertising for your business, and even more importantly, in my opinion, you're missing out on tapping into the world's most powerful advertising platforms. And I make no bones about making that statement. Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn advertising is easily the most powerful advertising tools that have been available to businesses ever. We've never seen anything like it. It's completely unprecedented. And time permitting, I'm going to show you through just one of those tonight to help you get a real insight into what's possible using these social media platforms. But you can't invest in social media advertising unless you're using social media already. So if you're not investing time into social media at the moment, that's going to change after this webinar. Now, this next one is becoming increasingly important. Recently, Google released a change in the algorithm. They announced some months ago now that they'll be releasing a change that actually said we will intentionally penalize websites that are not optimized or responsive for mobile devices. So that's what responsive design means. You'll hear this term thrown around a lot lately. It basically means that your website is viewable and easy to use and adapts its design, whether it's coming from a smartphone, an iPad, or from a desktop computer. Because most websites that were made, a few years ago, having them be viewable on a desktop computer was enough. But now what we know is that actually over half of your traffic is coming from a device other than a desktop computer. And if your website, to put it frankly, looks crap on a mobile device, then we know exactly what those customers are doing. They're actually turning around, going back and finding a website that looks good. And certainly this became, I realized the power of this even more while I've been traveling around Europe, which is that, when we're looking for a restaurant or a hotel or attractions or things to do, I really gave no time of day to websites that I couldn't read. I mean, why would you? Why would you even take notice of a website that's hard to use? All I did is simply hit the back button, go and find a website that I could read, and that's the one I use. So all of those businesses that hadn't invested in a responsive website lost money, and you are losing money every single day. If you're in tourism and hospitality, your traffic is almost probably all from mobile devices. But even if you're not in tourism or hospitality, we're still talking about at least half of your traffic. Now, when I started out teaching online marketing, even though I don't really like that term, but marketing your business through online channels, when I started out teaching that, it was really only about 25%, about 1 in 4 visitors. And that number has increased more and more and more year on year. And certainly, I don't think you have to be a rocket scientist to work out that people are not using their mobile phones less, they're using them a hell of a lot more. So if your website is not responsive, then please take out a pen right now and write down on a piece of paper, project for the next month is to absolutely get a responsive website. That has to be a priority for your business. And last but certainly not least is dynamic content. This is really the holy grail, if you like, of digital marketing. Is actually producing good content that adds value to your audience. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that during the next part of Jamie's presentation. But if your website is static and that you developed it a few years ago, you haven't updated the team page, you haven't added a blog, you haven't got social media feeds, then they say it takes up to 7 times for a customer to see you before they'll buy from you. And so if your website is the same every time they go back, there's nothing that's going to compel them to act that didn't last time. So make sure your website is constantly live. One thing I just want to address before I move on from websites is that people often create a website and then kind of dust their hands and think, right, that's done. I've got a website now. Fantastic. Your website is never done. I'm sorry to tell you, but your website as a project is never ever completed. So make sure that you're getting educated in this area, or you've got a damn good provider, because your website needs to be constantly updated and worked on as the market moves and as you become more dynamic and learn more as a business. So don't ever think, if you've settled in and got comfortable with your current website, don't ever think that that's the case. You are in a constantly moving and changing environment, and your website is one of the most important assets in your business. And the importance of a website is not getting any smaller. So make sure that a website is an absolute priority for your business. Sorry, that wasn't the last. The last one is actually location, 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 the oldest saying in real estate, right? But location, location, location applies just as much to your website. I kind of liken it to if you opened a shop in Antarctica and you did the most amazing design of this shop and it looked beautiful and everything about the shop was right, you had wonderful products, but you opened it in Antarctica. And a lot of the time when I talk to businesses, particularly retailers on the main street, I say, why do you pay more rent to be on the main street? I said, well, because we get more foot traffic, of course. I say, right, so why does it not make sense to you to get in the right location online? And that applies to social media and it applies to search engines equally. So if you're not investing in the location of your website, which is essentially like your shop that's open 24/7, if you're not investing in the location, then you're missing out and you're leaving money on the table. So just a quick recap: location, location, location. Make sure your website is visible. Make sure you're constantly updating the content. You have a dynamic website. If your website is not responsive, change it. Make sure you're integrating social media to complement your website. Simplicity sells and specificity rocks, so being really clear on your niche, and we'll talk a bit more about that soon. And for every page, make sure you have a clearly defined outcome that you want the user to take. Now I'm going to hand it back over to Jamie to talk about one of the areas that he's particularly passionate about, and this is all about creating a sales funnel for your business. And I'm really excited about this session. Jamie has spent a lot of time mastering the art of creating a sales funnel and has worked with lots of different clients on doing this, and it's a strategy that really never fails. There's something's not working in your sales funnel, something's wrong with your products or with your marketing message, because a sales funnel is one of those foolproof things that delivers time and time again for businesses. And you've probably heard the term thrown around a lot, but maybe you don't actually understand entirely what a sales funnel is or how it can apply to your business. And that's what we want to clear up 100% for you tonight, and really just give you complete clarity on how a sales funnel might apply to your business and how you can go away and create one. So I'll be back with you soon once Jamie's run through some of these steps to show you some live, really practical examples. But for now, I'll hand it over to Jamie to walk you through creating an awesome sales funnel for your business.
Awesome. Cheers, Johnny. Before I forget about it as well, just to cap off those main points about the websites there, I just wanted to remind everyone that at the end of tonight's webinar, we will be releasing a 30-page document that Johnny and I have spent a lot of time putting together, which actually details all the different tools, all the different softwares that you can use to actually get an effective website. So things around responsive design and capturing leads and all the different softwares that we've used over the past, and we've nailed it down to sort of the top 30 that you can use to grow your business online. That's across social media, but in particular, there's some real gems around website stuff. So just on the topic of website there, I'll just remind you that we will be releasing that and emailing that out to you after the webinar. So stick around, and there's some fantastic tools in there which will complement what Johnny said about the website stuff and also what's to come. So just a quick reminder. So in terms of sales funnels, I mean, it's a concept that's banged around so often. It's a term that you will have heard, particularly around online marketing. But the reality is there's still so many businesses out there who are trying to sell on the first touch. Now, I think 92% of sales happen between the 7th and the 12th touch, yet over 90% of businesses are trying to sell in the first interaction with a new customer. And now, as a salesperson and coming from a sales background, this is something that was particularly difficult when working for other people, because that structure and that system wasn't there for the sales to bring in those leads and nurture them, grow trust and credibility, educate people, and before actually having a conversation around sales. It's changed so much now where we have everything at our fingertips that you can learn so much about all the different industries. If you're going to hire an accountant, you can jump on Google and have a quick look. You can learn and meet. There's YouTube where you can actually, get face-to-face with people. There's so across any different industry, there's the opportunity for you to provide extreme value before you ever try and sell to someone. And so the term sales funnel has come about, and it's been banged around very commonly now, but it's just such a crucial element for any business in today's age, and yet so many people still do not have these in place. So first of all, I just want to go through and sort of outline what it is. I think probably the best analogy to sort of outline the importance of a sales funnel is I heard it once from a guy called Dale Beaumont, who's a mentor of mine, and also, more so Johnny. But we went to a conference of hers a few years ago, and it's something that's stuck with me ever since, because it was just so true and it just summed it up. And he said, imagine if you've got a bucket with holes in it. You can either keep pouring water into that bucket, or you can plug the holes. Now, essentially in your business, that bucket is your website, or that's your sales funnel. Now, so many businesses are just constantly pouring water into the top of that bucket, and unfortunately, that water is dollars. And there's so many holes, there's so many places for that water to escape. And instead of sitting back and looking at the funnel and how they're actually, or the system that they have to push someone through the sales process, they're just pouring more and more money into the top of it and saying marketing doesn't work. Facebook ads, I gave them a go, it doesn't really work for me. I put a video up, but it didn't bring any sales. And they're doing these one-off strategies and not tying them together to actually create a system to attract people into your business and then convert them into sales. So another good analogy is the colander, which most of us have in our kitchens. It's full of holes everywhere, and there's so many places for the water to escape. And unfortunately, like I said, that's often the case with the sales process for many small to medium businesses. So just going to give you a quick overview now. I think on the next slide, it details sort of, the formula that we've sort of come and rested upon, and that we really believe in. And Johnny said, we've traveled around the world, we have learned from some of the world's top experts. I think it's been the stuff that's where you're in the trenches and you're actually playing around and learning and seeing what works for yourself, where it just works. A screenshot capability on your laptop, whatever, now you can take a snap of that, or we will send out slides later. But the reality is, at the very top of it, one of the most important parts of anything to do with sales and marketing is understanding your audience. So we've got down there at the top target market. But I think in today's day and age, go back 10 or 15 years, a target market was fine. You could sort of identify a pretty broad target segment, and you could go, well, we help so-and-so do so-and-so. And it worked. You get out and you'd network with friends, and a lot of it was still done on the ground, and you could sort of pitch as much as you could to everyone, and you'd get some sales into your business, and that was the way it worked. Today, the marketplace is cluttered. There's marketing and advertising everywhere. And the reality is, in order to actually appeal to your customer, you have to go far deeper than a target market. You have to, a term that means ideal client or avatar. What that really means is just to go much deeper into the psychology of who your buyer is, so that you understand their motivations to buy from you, their wants, their desires, their needs. And in that way, you can target a specific message to them that actually hits home, one that actually will attract them into your business. So you don't have to hit them over the head with the sales pitch, but you simply move them through and into that funnel so that you can educate them and build trust with them. And the obvious result at the end of that is that they want to buy from you rather than you having to sell to them. So we're going to go into that further, in a couple of slides later, and we'll actually detail sort of what you can do to get a better grip on what that target market or that ideal client is. But the first step of the sales funnel is always to really get clear on that. And I can't drill that home enough. It's often something when I sit down with my clients, they sort of go, yeah, I know my target market. And I go, okay, cool. And tell us a bit about the target market. And oh, well, it's a sort of middle-aged woman, and she's, you know, got a couple of kids, and she lives in so-and-so, and she makes a bit of money, and she's interested in fitness. And I always just say, hey, look, that's great that you've got a rough idea, but the reality is it's much easier a marketing message to, say, Sally, who's 34 years old and is a solo mother. She works part-time as a personal assistant and is looking for quick, healthy meals on the go after work so that she can provide for her family a healthy dinner without the stress and the time constraints. Something like that, where you can just go into so much more detail, and it just gives you so much more power in your marketing message. Now, I'm sure as I'm saying some of this, there might be a few sort of light bulb moments for people out there, because probably one of the biggest things I hear from clients is that they struggle to know what to write in their market. It's like, yeah, we know we've got to use Facebook ads, and we know, but we just don't know what to put in them. What headlines do we write, and how do we actually attract people? And the reality is, if you're not clear on your marketing message and you're struggling to come up with that, it's just that you don't know your client avatar well enough. So we'll go into that in a little bit more detail after this, but I'll just walk you through the rest of it. So once you've got the target market up the top there, you then want to employ some lead generation strategies. Now, there's I could come up with 100 different lead generation strategies. In fact, I've actually got a book on my bookshelf there which has 365 of them. And many business owners say, oh, I've tried everything to generate leads. And I turn around and say, well, I've got a book that's got 365 different techniques. So if you've tried them all, I'll buy that story, right? And, there's things like this direct mail and email marketing, there's media and publicity, there's search engine optimization and Google AdWords, ads, content marketing is a key these days. Things like podcasting and video marketing. There's so many different ways that you can generate leads into your business. But it really is, to avoid the overwhelm, crucial to just highlight a few that, A, you have the resource to do in your business and that work well for your target market or your ideal client. So ones that they're actually going to respond to. And you can pick out handpick the top 6 lead generation strategies and put them in play to attract that target market in. So, and if I was to go off the top of my head, I think is an absolute must. And we'll dive into that every time at the end of this call. But it is just crucial. If you're not running ads for your business on Facebook right now, you're missing out. It is absolutely crucial. We've never, ever had a tool like that where we can get right down to demographics, earnings you've had, holidays you've been on recently. Like, there is absolutely no limit to the targeting that you can do, which is so powerful compared to if you put, say, a marketing message in a newspaper, which goes out to 60,000 people, but doesn't really hit home with anyone, right? It's a very broad readership. Something like Facebook ads, you can just target right in, and you can get those leads into your business for very cheap. We're talking $1, $2, $3 into your business. Now, if you're selling a service, anywhere sort of $50 to $100, $1,000, $10,000, the markup on that is pretty good. So Facebook ads are an absolute must. Another one, and probably the quickest way to amplify your business, especially in the early stages, is partnership marketing. So actually partnering and looking at around your industry and going back to that ideal client and saying, right, this is the person that I'm targeting. This is the person that I want to bring into my business. Where else is this person spending money? What other businesses are they tied in with? What associations are they tied in with? What kind of events are they attending? And how can I work out a partnership with those people so that I can leverage their existing database to bring those or make those people aware of my business? Now, this is something that's commonly done on the ground, but in terms of online stuff, it's absolutely crucial now, because you think about, for example, someone who has a good social media following. It might be for Johnny and I, if we were to run a seminar or something like that, we might be looking, right, there's a whole bunch of small to medium business owners that we want to attract into our business. Now, where else are they spending money? Obvious one for us would be to look at accountants, and we could go, okay, well, who's a trusted accountant that we know, is savvy and does a good job that we might want to work with? And if we could then build a strong partnership with them and utilize their database by adding value to their clients, so maybe giving them a discount on that seminar or doing some free training for them, like this webinar, so that we had access to that. That accountant might already have 500, 600, 700, 1,000 businesses that are hungry and needing what we need. And rather than us having to directly go and seek them out, we can build a partnership and leverage that straight away. So if you're not doing partnership marketing in your business now, that is a project that you must put into your next 90-day plan. It is something that you absolutely must start doing because it is the quickest way to amplify your business. And the reach that you can get online now through social media and things is just absolutely ridiculous. If you think about some of the audiences you see where there's 10, 20, 30,000 people, you can instantly get your brand in front of those people from someone who they have already built trust with, and it is the quickest way to sort of amplify things. So that's another one. I mean, obviously there's email marketing, online advertising. So Google AdWords has been something that's worked very well. It still works well for certain industries. Although if you had to compare it to Facebook ads, for most industries, you're probably going to get cheaper conversions from Facebook advertising. And content marketing, which is one that we're going to talk a lot about. And I'll just go into it a little bit now. But I guess now, 10 years ago, there was a real push for advertising. So advertising was big and it was loud and it was in your face. You think back to TV adverts for Noel Leeming, probably everyone will remember one. They're big and they're loud and they're in your face and they're just screaming, buy, 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 buy. There's billboards everywhere. And it was that mass media who just shoved advertising down our face for the, sort of the last decade, to the point where as consumers, we've become immune to it, where we actually don't switch on. I mean, like, when was the last time you didn't hit mute on an advert when you're watching television? Or how often do you listen to the radio adverts that come up, or the mass media, the billboards? When was the last time you looked at a billboard and actually went, yeah, I'm going to go in there and buy from that guy? It's changed, and it's because we don't want to be sold to anymore. We don't want to be advertised to because it's just been thrown at us so hard. So from that has come the rise of content marketing, which is where businesses have started to go, well, rather than screaming at people and shouting and telling them to come and buy from us, why don't we start adding value to these guys? Why don't we look at ways that we can build trust and educate them on our area so that it's a natural decision for them to want to buy for us because they see the value in what we do. You see it a lot, especially online and, through a lot of marketers and coaches and all sorts of different businesses now really tapping in and utilizing it. And one of the common things I hear from businesses is, well, what content could I possibly create? Like, who would want my content? I'm an accountant, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a personal trainer, and what could I possibly produce that people would be interested in? The reality is every single business can produce valuable content for the audience. You've just got to think about what it is that ideal client is going through before they make a purchasing decision that you could educate them on to make sure that they had full confidence in what they're about to do. So, for example, if you were an accountant, I'll go back to the accountant because that's a common one where people go, well, who would want to download content about accounting? The reality is, as a business owner, when I landed on an accountant's website, I would probably really want to know how I can save on my taxes. So if I could land on that website, and rather than the accountant just having their services there where I don't really know much about them or what they do, if they would have something there that said, hey, here's the top 10 tips that we can give you on how you can save on your taxes this year. Or, ever struggled to register a company and not sure about, business tax. Here's 5 tips or 5 commonly asked questions by our customers. Something like that that adds value. Now, they could be doing that through numerous different formats. They could be doing that through video, which is an absolute crucial element of it now. And YouTube is now the second biggest search engine behind Google, and YouTube is also owned by Google, which means that YouTube videos are now, and have been for a year or so now, but they're coming up in the homepage. So it's really good for your search engine optimization and your Google rankings. But it's a fantastic way to get your face in front of a potential client before they meet you. So they can see what you look like, they can see how you talk and interact, whether you're someone that they'd like to do business with. And more importantly, through video, you can give them a hell of a lot of value. I'm sure every single one one of you on this webinar has probably downloaded a free video series or watched some videos before you've purchased from someone online. But I would be interested to see how many of you have videos for your business right now. Johnny and I have run numerous tests around this sort of thing. And for example, this webinar, the opt-in rate was about 30% higher by just whipping together a quick 5-minute video and popping it on the landing page. Now, it was by no means anything special. In fact, it was something that I didn't want to put up at all, but it probably got us a 30 to 40% higher conversion rate than what we'd experienced in the past. And that was purely because people could see someone, they could interact with them, they got a real feel for what it was going to be about. And this is something that you must be utilizing throughout your business. Now, just to give you an overview, because we've sort of got about half an hour or so left, but an overview of content marketing and some of the best ways to go about it so that you're not, getting caught up with having to produce a whole bunch of it, because it's all reusable. So, for example, if I was to write a blog post, now blogging is a crucial element for your online presence as well, and something that we will talk about potentially in another webinar and cover off a little bit later on. But if you're blogging and you write a good blog post to add value to your audience so that when they come to your website, maybe they want to find out the top tips to lose weight, or, they want to know some of your IP, some of your knowledge that you have to add value. Rather than just having a blog post sitting there, you can then jump in front of the camera and read that blog post to the camera, and you now have a video. Once you've got the video, you can then strip the audio out of the video and pop that up on iTunes and Libsyn and numerous other ones anyway. And basically from there, you then have a podcast. So from that one thing, you've had article, video, podcast. You can, from those three mediums, even pull together an online magazine that you release once every 3 months, which has all of those medias in it. Or you can take all of that information, transcribe it, and pop it into an infographic that can circle around on social media. So from one simple blog or article that you've written, you can produce 3, 4, 5 different types of media that you can then circulate out to the internet. You can push out through advertising, you can push out through your social channels, you can utilize partnership marketing to push that out through different databases of people that are in the same industry as you, and you can start to get your brand and your expertise out there to the world in a way that we've never really ever seen before. Now, often it's something that people get caught up on. I don't have time to create content, but I just want to say this to you now. You just cannot afford not to do it. We all have to get into the mindset of this is the way forward in terms of selling more services. People at the top who have clicked onto content marketing early have made literally millions and millions of dollars from just being the early adopters in this. Guys like Gary Vaynerchuk and Brendan Burchard, who have grown $10+ million businesses in the space of 2 or 3 years. By literally just making it almost a full-time role just to see how much fantastic content they can create. And on the back of that, they'll then offer a product or service. So we've gone into 3 or 4 there, which the Facebook advertising, content marketing, partnership marketing, which are all fundamental lead generation strategies to grow your business online. And something that we can dip into a little bit later on. But if I pull you back to that previous slide, we've got the target market sitting at the top. We've now got numerous lead generation strategies and ways that you can pull that target market into your business. But now the biggest problem that businesses have, and this is where I refer back to the colander where there's all the holes and the water's escaping left, right, and center, is people are sending all this traffic often to a rubbish website, and people are just turning around and leaving. So they're putting in all that hard work to generate those leads and drive it back to their site, but there's nothing there for them. There's nothing to engage, nothing to capture the details. There's no way for them to grab that and keep them in the pipeline, nurture them, and turn them into a sale down the track. So this funnel is what's called a lead magnet. Now, a lead magnet is probably that you can offer prospect that they may be interested in, so that they will eventually get into a pipeline. You can build trust with them, and they'll become a consumer. Now, you will have seen it all the time. I mean, ebooks were a common one a couple of years ago. Still an incredibly popular and powerful lead generator. Things like video series, there's a whole range of different things that you can do to capture consumer details. So I just want to take you back. Think of a few websites that you could, and just ask your website, or when I was browsing websites that come up with us, ask for your name and email, whether an awesome piece of valuable or this service or this discount in exchange for your name and email address. You don't have an email address, and I'm here. Now, think back to your own personal website.
Oh, Jamie.
When you want a website, am I trying to...
Jamie, sorry to interrupt, mate. We're just losing connection on you just there. It's been a little bit rough throughout, but we've just sort of lost most of the point there, and we're hearing playing a bit of catch up with your words. So if I just give you a moment to take a breather, And I'm just going to quickly just take a couple of minutes to jump straight into just showing you just jumping back a little bit to lead gen and showing you one example, just literally getting live and really practical here to show you one example into Facebook ads. Well, your internet can play a bit of catch up. I'm almost laughing though sitting here because that this whole thing has come together because Jamie and I have been panicking all day about internet problems and having real connection issues, and we'd like to apologise publicly for the bollocking that Vodafone got on the phone got on the phone from Jamie trying to sort out these issues, but that's okay. So I'll just take over for a quick minute, and then we'll basically pick up where we left off. So I'm just going to share my screen. Jamie and I are kind of all about quick wins. So I'm just going to share my screen here, and what you should see is Facebook advertising come up. It should be a screen called Advertise on Facebook, and I'm just going to get super practical here. Jamie and I have a system called Quick Wins, which for us is all about teaching you the formula, teaching you the strategy, giving you the big picture stuff, but also just anything we teach, we make sure you walk away with at least one thing that you could set up tonight, for example, you could set up tomorrow morning. And so what I want to really briefly run through is just some options for advertising on Facebook. What we're going to do here is show you how to actually set up a Facebook ad which sends clicks through to your website. So it's perfect for where Jamie left off, because he was talking about sending people to a lead magnet, which is where they claim a free piece of value or free content from your website, which to get them through to your website, to claim that or to opt into your email list, you need to actually run Facebook ads and send people to your website. Now you can actually measure how many people buy from you or exchange their email address, whichever one you like, through Facebook ads. So through Facebook advertising, you can actually get a direct, immediate result on what your return on investment was. Now, that's the equivalent of you basically only paying for a newspaper ad if people ring you, or radio letting you know of how many people listened to your Facebook ad, this many people actually rung through to your business and took action and brought your products and services. It's absolutely unprecedented. But I'm just going to jump straight into it because I know that we're going to be running out of time, and I'm just going to really just show you through some examples. So I don't know if most of these websites won't be live anymore, but just some options for running a clicks to website Facebook advertising campaign. So what it's asking me for here is to add a conversion pixel, which is basically a tiny piece of code that you can copy and paste straight onto your website, particularly easy if you're using WordPress, that then tracks the activity of people on your website. So it knows, like I said, what results you got from your Facebook advertising. I'm not going to do that right now because I just want to show you some of the targeting options. So there's a huge minefield of options in something called custom audiences, where you can literally tell Facebook to go out and find audiences that are similar to your likes on Facebook. So you have likes on Facebook, and you can say, of those 1,000 people I have on Facebook or 500 likes I have on Facebook, you can tell Facebook, go out and find me 15,000 people who share the same demographics or who have similar interests. Or you can tell them, go out and find me 250,000 people who share the same interests and demographics, and it's incredibly powerful. You can also choose to just run ads to people who have already visited your website, the equivalent of remarketing to people who have already rung into your business or walked through your door. If you're a retailer or in hospitality, you can just remarket back to those people. But right now I want to show you through some of the kind of demographic and interest targeting options, and I'm just going to run through a couple. There's no way I can ever do it justice, but you'll see here from location, New Zealand I've got down now. Our potential reach at this point is 2,400,000 people on Facebook, between 18 and 65 who are of both genders. But see, if I just put women in there, for example, that number then goes down to 1.3 million. Now let's take this back to both genders, and let's just show, what I want to show you really is demographics. Actually, before I do that, what was recently added is the ability to target people who live in the town or the city that you're targeting. So, for example, at this point, I could add my own awesome hometown of Port Motueka, which is what it's called on Facebook. It's not actually called Port Motueka, but we live with it. And you see now the potential reach is 44,000. Now, the reason the potential reach is 44,000, because at this point you're probably thinking, wow, hang on a minute, there's only about 8,000 approximately residents in Motueka. Why would there be 44,000 people showing up in the search? And that's because recently, and this is really hot off the press stuff, recently Facebook actually introduced the ability to target people who are traveling in this location. So listen up, if you're in hospitality or if you're in tourism, right now in our small town of Motueka, I can target people who are traveling in this town, and that potential reach for me right now is 2,700 people. So that's just one example of what's possible. We can go even further. Let's go switch back to New Zealand and go into demographics. You can target people based on whether they're married, divorced, engaged, what level of education they're from. You can, for example, go by job titles. So we can target just marketing managers or only people in the education industry. We can target parents. So look here, let's go parents. You can choose parents, and then let's look at the breakdown. For example, new parents 0 to 12 months, parents with toddlers, parents with preschoolers, parents with early age school children, parents with preteens, parents with teenagers, parents with adult children, expectant parents, or just blanket cover all parents in New Zealand. And if you look now, if we go New Zealand 2.4 million and we go all parents, you're now working with a target audience of about 710,000 parents on Facebook living in New Zealand. Now, you can go even further than that and talk a lot more about work and relationships, but you can also go based on industry. So you can really target down and go, actually, I only want to target people who are interested in fitness and wellness, or are interested in bodybuilding, dieting, gyms, meditation, or even further, people are interested in cooking. You can break that down again, whether they're interested in baking or following recipes. You can go by alcoholic beverage. So a brewery can target people in New Zealand who are only interested in beer. A winery can target people in New Zealand who are only interested in wine. And you can just keep going and going and going, shopping and fashion. And then another level to interest is actually behaviors. We can target people, for example, one that's worked quite well for Jamie and I is we target people who are Facebook page admins, i.e. people who run Facebook pages for their business, which means that we can basically run ads to people who we know are already giving online marketing a go and say, how's that going for you? Do you want some help increasing your likes? Do you want some help growing your Facebook presence? And that kind of targeting is really unprecedented. We've never seen anything like it. And I wish more than anything else that I'd have the time to show you through more of this. But we're just going to keep bringing this content to you and keep bringing opportunities for you to work with and engage with us. So I'm going to sign out at this point just to give you a bit of a taster of what you can do with Facebook ads. You can do this yourself. You have full control and power over Facebook ads. They're completely measurable. They're live. And you only pay for results you get. You only pay for clicks. So if your ad doesn't work, it doesn't cost you anything. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Right now, though, I'm going to switch it back to Jamie and get back into this PowerPoint slides where he can run through and complete the sales funnel, and then we'll close off for the night.
Awesome. Hopefully you can hear me now. But that's the perfect lead into just going straight back to that lead magnet, which is basically if you are running ads from something like Facebook and you've got really targeted traffic coming to your website, rather than wasting that traffic by giving them a whole bunch of options when they land on your homepage, your lead magnet comes into play because you want to capture that person, give them something of value, and get them into your pipeline. So this is where you have something that sits on your homepage, and there's a whole range of different things. You can have it really obviously as soon as people land there in that sort of top prime real estate on your website. Or you can have, you will have all seen them on websites where it actually pops up as you're browsing, either down on the sort of the right-hand bottom side or right in the middle of your screen, and it offers you something that should be irresistible that you can't say no to in exchange for your name and email address. Now, this is an absolute crucial part of any funnel, and it's often the part where you can use tools for split testing and measuring to make sure that your headlines and things like that are actually striking it well with your target audience. But the idea is just to take as much of that traffic and convert it into email details, so that you can then continue to nurture that relationship through. And after a few touches and adding some more value, maybe sending them some good video content, some decent emails, some tips and tactics, you can then offer them something down the track to buy from you. So if you're currently running a website and you don't have a lead magnet on it, that's another little note to put down there because it's an absolute must-have for all businesses. And this is, there's numerous ways you can do it. You can have it sitting on the homepage, but if you're running ads and things, you can also have it then on a separate page so that there's no other option but to give name and email address, and there's no distractions for that person. And that's called a landing page or an opt-in page or a squeeze page, but that's probably for a whole different lesson. So, and you've utilized your lead magnet to capture those details. Rather than just instantly trying to sell to them off the bat, you need to implement what's called conversion strategies or conversion tools. So basically, at the top of the funnel, you've got your ideal client. You've then utilized lead generation to approach them and say, hey, this is what we do, this is who we are. You've used a lead magnet to then lure them in and go, hey, we've got something of real value, give us your name and email address. And now you've got them into your pipeline. So the next thing to do now is, rather than going straight out and trying to sell to these guys, is to build a relationship with them, just like you would anyone else. And so what you do is you implement a number of what's called conversion strategies. And that can be anything from something like this webinar. Email marketing is a very common one, where once you have opted in and you've got, say, your free ebook or something like that, often a day or two later in your inbox, there'll be something else of real value. It might be a little video on a similar topic, or it might be another ebook, or it might be a cheat sheet. But businesses who are really nailing it online have what's called a nurture sequence. And it's simply just a cycle of keeping in touch with that new customer in your database and adding real value to them. Just keeping front of mind and going, hey, this is what we do. We're experts in our field, and here's some more value for you. Now, in terms of those conversion tools, you can use different things like seminars and webinars. You can send out more video content or content marketing, but the idea is just to build that relationship, okay? So that you can, and it's acceptable to then sell to them. So once you've implemented these conversion strategies, you've then got them into your pipeline, and now it's just your job to just add as much value to this person, to their life, and to that problem that you solve for them as you can. So that you pretty much, they know that you are the person that they need to work with. And then there's a sort of a formula that most people in the industry play off, and it's Gary Vaynerchuk has actually written a book about it, and it's called jab, 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 right hook. And that's sort of the formula of like add value, add value, add value, sell. So quite different to traditional business where people are trying to sell off the first, sort of the first opportunity. But it's about at least 3 touches where you've just done nothing but add value to them before you even try and sell them something. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about your current way of going about selling, and whether you are clear on your ideal client and your target market, what lead generation strategies you're using, whether you have a lead magnet in play to capture those details, or whether all of those leads are escaping through your colander, so to speak, or whether you're pouring more water in the top of the bucket but not plugging the holes. And then what you're actually doing once you've got those customer details into your database. Now, hopefully you have an email list of some sort, but what are you doing to nurture those leads? Are they simply sitting in a list and never hearing from you? Or are you constantly in touch with them, adding value through content marketing? Now, at some stage through the conversion strategy, you're going to make the sales pitch, right? So you're going to actually sell to them, and that can come in numerous different ways. And often it is what's called an entry product or product one. And that's sort of like a low tier product, and it's usually not a huge ticket item, but it's something that will get them in. It's the first product that you sell to these people. So that nurture cycle will have been set up to answer as much questions and add as much value in a particular area as possible, so that when you do offer product one, it's an obvious buy. Now, what that does is that gets people spending money with you. It means that they've actually made a purchase, which means that they already trust you. And as we all know, the easiest people to sell to, again, are people who have already bought from you. So you can drop down to an upsell strategy, which basically just means once people have bought from you, what else do you have to offer telling them? And do you have a strategy in place to take them from, say, spending $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 in your business to spending $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 in your business? Or do you have a whole database, never heard from you again, or never been sold? Now, I don't like to use the word sold to because people get a bit funny about it, but the reality is when you have trusted a business owner so much that you've spent money with them, which we're going to assume, often you're looking for the next thing. So what they've added so much value already, what I brought from them, but what else can I get? So that's have a range of different strategies to keep in touch with people who have already bought from you, so that you then give yourself the best opportunity to sell them a bigger ticket product down the line. So think about your current structure now, whether you're a service-based business or a project. What is my sales funnel looking like? Am I clear on who do I have in play? Am I using AdWords, content marketing? Am I driving that trend and give myself the opportunity to build a list? What conversion strategies are you using to take that list, nurture it, and turn it into product? And once they have bought from you, what are you doing in your business to then continue that relationship through them spending more money, almost like another salesperson from your business, because they've got such great value and they've just been in your system for so long. So it's pretty simple. Unfortunately, many businesses don't have a system at all. They're simply trying to off and in. So I just encourage you to look back across your sales funnel now, and just think, well, what could I do? So what could I do to bring those people in? What could I do to capture the website? Definitely get on to that in the next few weeks and just see the difference and try and start to build a list of people and capture those details and look at the conversion strategies you can implement into podcasts. That's a quick overview of a sales funnel. But it should give you an idea of how sort of top people are going about generating leads and converting them. And it often takes between 7 businesses encourage you to think about it in your own business, and from some of the strategies that we'll dive in trainings and on Facebook page and things.
Absolutely.
You know, how you can really use them so that you can sort of sit back.
Jamie, I'll just nip that one in the bud there, because you're starting to, we caught all of that, but you're starting to sound like a bad dial-up now. So we'll just nip that one in the bud there. Jamie's last remark was just around how the strategies that we're introducing tonight, we will be continually adding value and bringing more of that into the Facebook group and also via our email list. And so we'll just keep bringing more and more and more content to you and opportunities for you to learn from us, because we've already been in the trenches educating hundreds of businesses. And our goal for this year is to really, really step that up in a massive way and actually work with as many businesses as possible in New Zealand to start moving forward and making some serious progress and some headway on simplifying these strategies for you, which is what we're always trying to do, and kind of unleashing the potential of your business. Really, at the moment, if you're feeling like you've got a bit of a ceiling on what you can do in your business, and you're not moving forward in a way that you know you can, or you feel like you're leaving money on the table and not fulfilling your real full potential as a business, then that's what we really want to help you with. And just to address a quick myth about a sales funnel, often it's hard for people to realize the application of a sales funnel to your business. You kind of understand the concept but wonder where it all fits in depending on your industry. Start thinking about that lead magnet, and perhaps it's not information or content. Perhaps it's if you're in e-commerce, perhaps it's a gift voucher. If you're in hospitality, perhaps it's a free appetizer with your main. So there's perhaps it's a free drink on a Friday night at a bar. Whatever's going to actually, what you really want to think about is what's the kind of irresistible offer that people are going to claim in exchange for their email address, which will also help get them through the doors of your business, whether that's in a virtual sense for a digital business, or really practically how they're going to walk through the doors of my shop, how they're going to come to my bar or restaurant during the evening. So really just thinking about the application of that to your business. The formula never changes. You just need to fill in the blanks with what works for you and your business. And if you've got any questions about that, fire us an email, drop a comment in the Facebook group. We'll be able to introduce you to people or address the question ourselves to help you kind of cut through that. So thanks very much, Jamie. That was an excellent session. And now I'm just going to take these. Well, we've hit 9:30 now, but I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to explain what next. And no, you don't need to sign off or get all anxious about a sales pitch, because that's not what's coming next. Actually, for us, it's just more value. We have spent, as Jamie alluded to, a lot of time putting together a master list of 30 free digital tools. It's basically a massive swipe file, like the slide alludes, to help you work smarter, not harder. And that slide, you can tell, was done in a hurry. There you go. Work smarter, work harder, which is a mantra of Gary V's. If you're not following Gary Vaynerchuk on Facebook, I highly recommend it. He says it's all very well working smarter, not harder, but he works smarter and harder. Beat that, which I always think is quite fun, because if you're having fun in business and your business is growing and you're getting the results you're looking for, then there's no reason why a business shouldn't be fun. So I'm just going to give you a really, really quick look into this massive swipe file that we've created, which we're actually going to send to you free. So let's just see if that's opened up for you now. You should be able to see that on your screen. And now I need to find my version of it to actually show you. And I'm just going to show you through this, really massive swipe file, like I said. And this is so it's actually 30 free tools that we've basically reviewed, sought out, and put together in a list of what we think are the best tools for you. So we've got things like WordPress, which is the world's #1 most popular content management system for websites, which is also completely free. We've got Squarespace logos. So if you ever want to know how to create a free logo for your business, you're just a few clicks away. Google Drive. If you haven't moved to the cloud already for your storage, you need to be thinking about Google Drive, which is also free like the rest of these tools. If you're writing headlines for your business, OnePress Social Locker hides your content behind, is a great way to get more likes and tweets for your content. Also some ideas for how to create content, analysis and audit of your website, how to improve your SEO, how to find keywords relating to your business, how to get a random anonymous tester to test your website for free and give you live video feedback, and more analysis of your website in terms of how it ranks on Google, how the page loads. This very document that you're looking at was created in a tool called Canva, which is absolutely free. It's an online design application. If you've ever had trouble uploading small images, images that are too large, then you want to check out these two tools we've suggested here. As well as creating free infographics, resizing your images to suit social media, helping put together pictures, and creating mock-ups, which is something we introduced in the Facebook group. MailChimp is our preferred supplier for email subscriptions because it's also free. Some awesome tools on how to build your list even further. I just can't even do any of them justice in this amount of time, but we've actually put together this massive swipe file of 30 different tools. We've taken the time to review them, test them, introduce them into our business, introduce them into our clients' businesses, and then write descriptions and summaries for you about these tools and provide links so that you can go away from tonight not only having learned the strategies, the formula, the practical application, get an idea of the big picture around online business, but you can actually walk away from tonight. We're emailing you this after the call, and just sign up for 30 free tools in your business. 30 tools that will help grow your business, help save you time, and ultimately save you money that aren't going to cost you a cent. So that's coming your way absolutely free, really no strings attached. But the other thing that we need to talk about is if you're not on the Facebook group already, then we need to get you there as soon as possible. So we've set up a group called the GrowOnline Facebook group, which has been a free forum for people to, as we've alluded to, ask questions, seek advice, bounce ideas off each other, and ultimately just really a forum to help business owners grow and collaborate with each other. There's already been some partnerships established through the Facebook group, and I know people have been thoroughly enjoying the content. We really want to hear from you to know what to put up next, what other content you're seeking. And I can tell from tonight already, from some of the feedback we've had, that you'd all love to see some more on Facebook ads. So that's very exciting, and would love to be of service to you on that. So they're just two things that right now we can help you with. Aside from this webinar, we're going to provide you with a replay so you can go back, review all the content, check it out. We're also giving you the swipe file of 30 free digital tools that you can go away and sign up for straight away if you choose. And we invite you to utilize the Facebook group to get any questions you have answered, get new ideas, learn constantly about new tools, advice, and strategies, and stay up to date through growing your business through online channels. All of it, of course, completely free. Jamie and I are just working as hard as possible to add value. And if you've got ideas for what you'd like, then please let us know. We also do have announcements coming up about workshops you'll be able to attend, and also a program kicking off where we'll actually be working one-to-one with a select number of businesses. So that's kind of all in the pipeline. But for now, we've put together as much value as possible for you in this 90 minutes and in the swipe file of free digital tools. And of course, there's plenty more to come in the Facebook group, which is already absolutely cranking. So just want to close it off. Hopefully Jamie's internet is okay. I think we've got a good connection here, and we just want to close up with some final thoughts from Jamie, and then we will be signing off. So are you with us, Jamie?
I am. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, look, I don't have too much to add. I just want to once again thank everyone for coming along and giving up an hour and a half of their evening. It was a difficult task to sort of jam it all into 90 minutes, but I hope that there was a few good takeaways for you in that. Hopefully some actionable stuff that you can go and research you right now. And still putting a lead back on if your traffic conversion goes up, can have a match straight away. The is better than
Jamie, we'll have to nip that one in the bud as well. Luckily we got the bulk of the content around the sales funnel as well, because we're not getting this last part. So perhaps we can encourage Jamie, you can just jump into the Facebook group and share your closing thoughts with everyone else. I'm just pleased after a day of kind of technical challenges that we actually managed to get this webinar up and running for everyone, and we've had a whole lot of people joining, and the numbers continue to grow on throughout the night. So like Jamie's already said, thank you so much for taking the time out tonight to spend with us, to learn from us, and sacrificing part of your evening to really engage in this topic that's not always sexy, it's not always fun, but is crucially important. And we want to finish on the quote that change is inevitable, growth is intentional. And these things in the digital space are happening. Whether you fight or adapt is up to you, but we know that change is the only constant in business. And if you are ready to grow and you want to continue to grow and capitalize on the existing success of your business or what you've already achieved, then you absolutely need to be paying attention to these online channels. So look, that's all from us. A huge thank you again for being on the call tonight, and we encourage you all to jump into the Facebook group. We'll be sending out an email after this, which will give you access to the replay, give you access to the swipe file, and give you access to the Facebook group if you don't already have it. That's all from us tonight, though. Thanks, everyone, and good night.